All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Ian Tan, and I'm an editor on Wild Ink Publishing. Here we have Maria James Thiaw.
hmm
She's a renowned author, poet, director, and just an incredible person and force within the Black community and within the writing community. It's an honor for us to have her here with us today. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Yes, let's get into the questions here today. Now it is Black History Month uh this month, and we would like to ask a few questions around that. So
hmm
first off, what is the significance of Black History Month to you?
Well, I think it is a special time of kind of righting a wrong in our education system and helping our people, especially the kids, because if you don't know where you come from, you can't know where you're going, right? So they need to know that they are more than this what this white supremacist system did to us in the past, that we are so much more than that. And they don't get that in school.
Mm,
They might get little tiny bits, but they really don't get much. So that's why I think it's still very relevant and important because if somebody said to me yesterday that she's like, saying that she wouldn't go to a Black History Month program because, and it was a Black woman, because I'm Black every day. Why do they want to just give us the shortest month of the year? And hey, this isn't she's not the only person with that opinion, but I would say they, it took so much hard work to systematically scrub us out of history books because we were there from the beginning and like woven into the fabric of American history to be able to write us out. I mean, that had to take intention and hard work. And so now it's our job to be the educators, to pass on the stories, to let the kids know where they come from. It's important.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's a way. It's also a way to honor and give tribute to whoever has been before, and whoever has,
Absolutely.
yes, absolutely, yes. So I'm glad you touched on education actually, because I wanted to ask about literature and storytelling. Now, how has literature and storytelling within your community uh, influenced your perspective of this cultural communal celebration?
Well, I think that literature and storytelling are wonderful tools to get a picture of a culture, um, things that you might not ask outright, or things that you might not dive deep into a textbook, but a story you really can dive into it and ask those questions, as my teacher used to say, interrogate the text, like why did they phrase it that way, why was the reaction like that, why did the authorities act that way towards them, like what are the dynamics, and through that, even through a historical fiction, you can get kind of a broader picture of the world and more empathy. So, previously I talked about the impact on Black History Month on Black folks, but other folks can, any time of the year, explore Black literature and learn more about the culture and the history.
Definitely, yeah, yeah. Storytelling is just so intimate, right? And literature just um make puts things down, puts perspective down into written form, so it's accessible and
Right.
so important. Um, are there any Black authors or storytellers, not necessarily published authors, uh, whom you can say has shaped you, um, and your your journey, your identity as a Black person? Are there any figures like that?
I really have always loved Maya Angelou. We had her books in the house, and she's influenced me a lot. First of all, her poems, some poems like ain't we bad, ain't we black, ain't that fine. That's one I really liked.
Oh,
Phenomenal woman. Yeah. Yes. I love Maya Angelou, and I also love Langston Hughes. And they had a big influence growing up. And then as an adult, I would also add Patricia Smith, a contemporary poet, to that mix.
yeah.
And now I can proudly say we're acquaintances.
Oh, wow. Wow.
We've met, and she
That
just
is fast.
really, really, really is awesome.
And that's the communal aspect of it, right? This interaction and like mutual influence. Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
powerful. It's powerful because it builds friendship. No, not to oversimplify it, but it builds friendship, and in that friendship, there's solidarity. Yeah. Okay. Now, in last September 20, you had published a poetry book of your own. Count Each Breath.
Yes.
With Wild Ink Publishing. Yes. Congratulations again. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Do you have it right?
Show the cover.
Do you have it
I have
right?
the cover
Okay.
back.
Fantastic. Awesome. Ta-da. Count Each Breath. Right there. Right there, ladies and gentlemen. By Maria
Yes.
James Thiaw. Okay, so can you briefly introduce this book to the audience? What subjects and themes does it discuss?
Well, the book covers, first of all, dealing with some chronic illnesses as an African American woman, and what was revealed during the COVID shutdown was that there are some great racial disparities in healthcare. And I didn't bring all the statistics with me, but the CDC has written extensively about this as well and has it on their website. But I saw it firsthand, so I put those I described those moments in poetry in my book. And then in addition to that, just going through the shutdown and what was that like? What was going on in the neighborhood? What was going on at the school where I taught? What were the fears and the thoughts we were having, trying to figure out 6 feet and masking and all of this?
Yeah.
And and then the revolution happens. Then we have a racial uprising, and I kind of expressed, I wanted to be a part of it. This was so important. This was my time. And yet COVID is really big, and I am definitely the poster child that could be in the hospital for that. So, die from it.
Right.
So all of those are the major themes.
Right. Yes. And I imagine it would resonate with many Black women who and which is a sad reality. But it will. I'm confident that so many Black individuals and Black women will resonate with what you are describing.
A lot of women in general, if they have an autoimmune disease or any kind of disease that's not necessarily textbook, any kind of ailment that it isn't easy to figure out in the 15 minutes, then a lot of times they get pushed out the door. They may be accused of it being depression or anxiety. In the old days, they called it hysteria, conversion syndrome. But today, even a woman can't get a diagnosis before 4 years of this being unheard and pushed around and things like that. So and then finally you find out it's lupus or it's Sjogren's or rheumatoid arthritis. And for here's an example, my mother is 75 years old and is just now getting a has a doctor who is Black like her, that said, hey, we should test you for autoimmune diseases. And I'm like, what's been going on for the last 40 years that this hasn't happened? So because to me it's obvious, like she had all the symptoms. So that's why a lot of women can relate, and a lot of individuals. A gentleman came up to me during a book signing that had MS, and he could really relate to uh, those poems.
Yeah, it's I think it's safe to say the U.S. healthcare system is just it's a mess. To put it
Yes.
simply, just a genius. Yeah, absolutely. Are there any parts of your book, your manuscript that you can look back now and especially feel proud of or especially fond of? Are there any parts like that? Could you can name one or two?
Um, the poem, am I saying it right? Opening the Gates really brings together a lot of my family history, and kind of it's one of the lines is the ebony clock tick tocks to and fro to the rhythm of my great granddaddy's feet. And to be able to write about his life and legacy and kind of compare it to 2020, and show him as a ghost and thinking about what he would say to us. I had the opportunity at Thanksgiving to read that to about 20 cousins, and it was just a really powerful moment and really meant a lot to my dad, because that was his grandfather. So I think that his story is very it's an American history story, and it's very powerful. So I'm really proud of that one.
Mm-hmm.
I had one. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, and that ties back to the literature and storytelling. Now your cousins can say, I have had my cousin read this to me, and also like it talked about our grandfather. It talked about our family, our grandfather, and that's very personal, and it's very much our culture, Yeah, it's very meaningful. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I cut you off just now. I apologize. What was the other one? You were gonna mention another
another one right next to it is it was a photograph. It was from a museum exhibit of a nurse from the 1918 influenza pandemic, and how it had impacted Philadelphia, which is a couple hours from me. And it was an ekphrastic poem. I wrote it, in response to that photograph. However, I could not use that photograph because it's not mine. I didn't own the copyright, didn't have permission. So one of my students in 11th grade, she drew it, and it's very realistic. She's an amazing artist. Her name's Ruby Tilder. She has since graduated, but she's an amazing artist, and she lives in my town in Camp Hill. And I was just really proud to have her artwork as part of the book.
Do you have her, or would you ever have her like sign that?
The original one, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's really special. That's a really special moment for both of you. Sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. Everyone, Count Your Breath by Maria James Thiaw. Yes, everyone, please look it up on her website and on her Facebook. There it is. There it is. Count Your Breath. Yes. Right. Okay. So okay. Now I've heard uh that you are working on have been working on a choreo poem called Hair Story, Reclaiming Our Crown. For
Yes.
the audience, a choreo poem is a play in poetic form. Um, Maria, can you briefly introduce Hair Story to us? What is the premise and where did it come from?
Well, Hair Story was inspired um, as a project when I did the American Griot project program with students at CASA that were in 12th grade theater and 12th grade creative writing. And my American Griot project series is based. I write poetry based on oral histories I get, and I taught that to the kids as well. After that, we did that program with them. Then I did that on my own, and I did my research and asked African American women and men. There were men and boys as well. My boy, Bobby, but and asked them about their hair. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that African Americans have their African Americans' hair is of different texture than other people in the world, and our hair is made to protect us against the sun in the hottest part of the planet, the equatorial sun, and and so it can be very thick and it can be very tough, and and unfortunately, in this system, it has been used as an excuse to shut us out of certain professional realms, certain sports teams, certain school activities, and even certain schools. So it can be a tool that works against our economic growth, everything. So that level of discrimination, we're trying to stop that in this country. There's something called the Crown Act, where they're trying to pass legislation to stop hair discrimination. However, 19 states now have adopted it, and my state of Pennsylvania has not. So still, I have friends that are being dismissed from work because of their hair, and it seems pretty ridiculous.
Right.
However, yeah, and we're encouraged to get our hair straightened, permed, as we say. However, those chemicals can cause cancer. So,
wow.
So it's like my job or my life because
Right.
of how my hair grows out of my head. It's not. Yeah. So this play, this choreo poem, is a series of poems based on the interviews that I had with different people. And there's many themes that come up. There's stories of interracial families, and there's stories of people kept from sports teams, people losing their jobs, the shame of losing hair or being made fun of on the playground or in school, and all of these statistics about these types of situations can be found on the dove.com, because they are really pushing the Crown Act right now.
Mm-hmm. That is, wow. There are some things I heard about and read about, but other things I had not, like the fact that Pennsylvania had not signed the Crown Act, and that is perplexing to me. Of all things to use as a reason to bar people from it. Yeah.
It seems frivolous, but when it's repeated so often, it becomes a very heavy weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Are you so for those who would not be able to go see your show, the choral poem, how would you suggest for those people? How would you suggest they keep up with this discussion? How would you suggest they support the movement against discrimination of black hair?
Well, they could go to dove.com and they have a petition that you can sign to support the Crown Act. And they can learn more about what I've been talking about here.
Okay.
If they are in my area, they can come see the show May 4th through the 10th at Gamut Theater in Harrisburg.
Okay. Will your play be recorded? Do you plan on filming it?
I'm hoping that at least some parts will be recorded. It's a little hard, like in the live theater, figuring out, since we're theater people and not film people.
Okay.
But at least some scenes will be recorded and we'll be able to share that. And if people follow me on social media, or go to my website, they'll be able to see some of those scenes.
Okay. So yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. So audience members, keep track of that. And Link will also help spread the word as well of your
great
hair story, reclaiming our crown people.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. We are happy to assist. Is there any? Okay, this might not happen, but are there any poems that you wouldn't mind, or parts of a poem that you wouldn't mind sharing here? It's okay if you don't want to do that.
I'm always open to share poems. Would you prefer a hair story one or a county breath one?
Hair story one.
Okay, this is a short piece based on an interview I did. So I'm just going to read it. Mm-hmm. This guy walks by. Hold on. Wait.
No problem.
This is a short piece. This is a short piece based on an interview that I did. It's called "This Hair Is Mine." This guy walked by me at a party and tugged on my hair. I said he tugged on my hair. Can you believe that? All he said was, "Sorry, I thought it was a wig." Well, even if it wasn't his. What business did he have touching me like he did? I don't care if it's a wig or a weave, you best believe. Just to quench your curiosity, cat, this hair is mine. My God-given natural hand picked up this hair at my local Korean store. I bought it with my hard-earned money last Sunday, and ain't nobody can say otherwise. Me and this hair have deep roots. And you best believe this hair is mine. All mine.
Wow. Wow. Fantastic. Wow.
Thank you.
And this isn't even the stage yet. So I imagine the production will be so much more.
I'm very excited about the cast we have. We have some very dynamic actors and actresses, and I just know it's going to be really great. And a great director.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Are you guys close to? Have you guys completed the entire thing yet? Are you in the process of?
We actually, tonight is the first rehearsal.
Oh.
So yeah, the script is all done. The cast has been chosen. They auditioned on February 7th, and tonight is the night.
Tonight is the night. I didn't know that. This is perfect timing. Wow, goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm really happy for you. Wow, it's going to be so great, so amazing. And
thank you.
So intimately researched and produced and written. Yeah, it's going to be great. Everyone who is in Harrisburg or Camp Hill Mechanicsburg, Dillsburg,
Yes,
please go and see her show. Hair Story, Reclaiming Our Crown. Yes. Um,
yes.
okay, finally, I think we have one final question. Um, um, as we end this interview, are there any are there any pieces of advice you might have for young writers, young students, young readers who might be, you know, trying trying out black literature, trying to
Ooh.
trying out black authors, or
Hmm.
uh, and whether they are black or you
I think
know,
um, I think it's great for uh, young people that love writing. You need to read a lot as well. It's going to be what takes your writing to the next level. So books, think of books as your mentors on your path as an artist. And then I think when you read, you have to read with the eye of a writer and really see what did this author do? Not just my feelings like, oh, I feel so intense because I read this, or I feel so happy because I read this. What made that happen? How did that writer do it? And I do think it's some authors I would suggest to read. Zora Neale Hurston, great novelist, and really she played with language in such an amazing way. She was a anthropologist, so really that's a really good choice from the 1920s. And then from today, the 2020 Pulitzer Prize winner for literature, or no, 2020 was Jericho Brown. He's great too. But 2021, I think, maybe was the poet X, an Afro Latina, Elizabeth Acevedo. And The Poet X is a fantastic book that it's a novel in verse. And it's just, that's one of my next challenges is to write novels in verse. That's on my bucket list, definitely. So, so see how Elizabeth Acevedo tells the story through the poetry, and it is fantastic. Also, Jason Reynolds is another one, The Long Way Down. So I'm just saying these names. Kwame Alexander. These are some great uh, poets, novelists to read that can show you a new way of playing with language and culture and bringing it all together in the book. And the books are your mentors. So don't forget that.
fantastic. Thank you very much for that, for all this passionate